When it comes to exercise, I've seen this 99.9% of the time. Typically men are too much pride and they think they can do it themselves. Where I had a newborn little girl at the time and COVID happened and now I was stuck at home. So I decided to pivot and start my own business where I specialized in virtual training.
When it comes to getting married, do you ever see brides coming in through your business?
Well, let's be honest, right? When it comes to weddings, the bride is the star of the show. There's a lot of pressure. I've had brides approach me and say like, hey Joe, I got a wedding in 6 months. I just want to feel my best. Okay, this is where we're at. We're gonna stack this win. We're gonna stack this win, stack this win. And before you know it, now we're really zoning in on what we need to achieve to make you feel your best at the altar.
So do you find for most women walking in, is 6 months a realistic goal?
It really depends on the Appreciate you having me on the show. Just starting off, I am a local boy here in Hanmer, and my wife and I moved to Ottawa in 2014. And like you mentioned, that's where I started my personal training career. I began my career at a Good Life where I worked for a year. After that, I went to a personalized personal training studio, Freeform Fitness, where I worked for 5 years. And during that time, I took numerous courses specializing in program design for clients, hypertrophy, so the fact like building muscle, kettlebell specialist, lean body coach to help clients lose body fat, build muscle. And then I also took a course that specialized in fascial stretch therapy. So essentially it's assisted stretching on a massage table where I help bring clients to full range of motion and create more mobility. I'm Joey and I'm from JV Functional Training, and my goal is to help people move better with less restrictions and more mobility. So I work with a large variety of clients, whether it be sport-specific training with athletes or with the average Joe that want to just move stronger and be healthier with their kids, and even with the older population who will want to avoid injuries and maintain lean muscle mass as you get older. So the 3 services I offer: for one, in-person personal training where you get to train from my home with the equipment that I have at my disposal. Or if time is restriction or you don't have a lot of space, you can also train from your own home and I'll train you virtually using FaceTime or Zoom. And I also provide fascial stretch therapy, which is essentially assisted stretching. My main goal with my clients is to allow functional mobility to really dictate the longevity of their training career and really help prevent injuries. So those are the courses I took throughout the span of the 5 years that I worked in the gym in Ottawa. And then like you mentioned, in 2020, COVID happened and all the gyms were shut down. So that was my time where I had a newborn little girl at the time and COVID happened and now I was stuck at home. And so, you got to put bread on the table for the family. So I decided to pivot and start my own business where I specialized in virtual training. So I was able to still keep my clientele, but to work from home using FaceTime or Zoom. And so I was able to help my clients continue their health and activity even during the time that gyms were closed. So that was a pivotal point in my career to help still bring health and fitness to clients even if the gyms were closed. So that continued for the better part of 2 years where gyms were closed and it was a lot of open, close restrictions. And then 2022, my wife and I moved back from Ottawa back here to Hanmer. And when gyms started to open up, I started to accept more clients into my home. So I have a full gym facility in my home, squat racks, dumbbells, benches, and whatnot. So I have that whole facility in my home. So I started to accept clients to come to my home. But I also continued like more of a hybrid approach where I was able to still serve clients virtually because I had a clientele in Ottawa and some in Toronto because people move, right? So I was able to serve clients in Ottawa virtually and then accept new clients in person here in Sudbury.
So your home setup. So how many guests or how many clients can you have at a time?
Right. So I like my service to be more of an intimate experience. It's not a gym with members. It's a one-on-one situation, right? So I like to primarily
focus my attention on one person, 2 people at the most. Like, for instance, I sometimes have couples that want to do the service together, right? Be a teamwork atmosphere. So I accept up to 2 people at a time, but I just want to really emphasize the importance of making it specific for each individual. It's not a gym setting, not a membership setting. It's a one-on-one personal training type studio.
I like that because I feel like then now you can really focus on their form and then they just can kind of see their results a lot better, right?
From my experience, like I've worked in a Good Life, a gym's, a membership setting. I've worked in a one-on-one personal training studio where it was close, groups, individual training. And now having my own business, I really see the importance of allowing a person who's new to fitness to be comfortable in the sense of not being unsure of their surroundings in a gym setting and then just resulting to go to a treadmill because they're not quite sure what to do. I really value bringing in new clients who've never exercised before and really prioritizing learning the basics properly so that you can do the exercises with confidence and without injury. So I'm really big on prioritizing the form of the exercise and really having the individual client learn their own body and not just what they may have seen on a YouTube video, but to really understand, wow, okay, these are my restrictions, these are my strengths, this is where I can progress. And I'm really big on allowing them to discover that for themselves with movement.
When it comes to getting married, like I often hear brides, specifically brides, more so than grooms, but sometimes both, bugging about, like getting these memberships and getting into this dress that they've put themselves into. It's almost like they do it to themselves. Do you find like where brides will get a dress that they love, but they'll make sure it's a size that they have to really, they really have to squeeze into. Yeah. So like, do you ever see brides coming in through your business?
Well, let's be honest, right? When it comes to weddings, the bride is the star of the show. All eyes are on the bride. I'm sorry, the guys, you're there to hand the ring. But really, all eyes are on the bride, right? She's the beauty of the room. So there's a lot of pressure, right, for the woman to say, like, I got to walk down the aisle. I want to be there. I want to look fabulous, and I want to feel good in my dress. So whether that's aesthetically with your appearance, whether it's makeup, the way you look in your dress, there's a lot of pressure, right? Because in the photos and everyone's looking and it's quiet. And so it's a stressful situation. So oftentimes I've had brides approach me and say like, hey, Joe, I got a wedding in 6 months and I just want to feel my best, right? So like, even if it's an aesthetic appearance, but it's more about how the bride feels themselves in their skin and the confidence that they're going to have at the altar, right? So I love when I consider, I'm a personal trainer, but I'm also like a social worker, where it's like a lot of clients, men and women, approach me and they tell me, how they really feel about themselves, the struggles that they go through, the challenges. And it's my job to really say, listen, I'm not like, life's not perfect, right? We all have jobs, kids, maybe, duties, tasks. There's a lot on your plate, right? So it's like, if you're trusting me, taking time out of your schedule to come see me for an hour, I'm really going to value your schedule and say like, listen, I'm not going to tell you this impossible plan where it's like, you're not going to be able to fit it. I want to meet you where you're at and then customize a plan that's going to be appropriate for your time and what you can do for yourself to make you feel the best possible. And it's about, we stack those goals, stack those wins. So it's like, listen, you approach me, you walk through my door, step one, you're already winning. You took the biggest step just by asking me for help as your trainer. And then from there, it's like, you know what? Okay, this is where we're at. We're going to stack this win. We're going to stack this win, stack this win. And before you know it, now we're really zoning in on what we need to achieve to make you feel your best at the altar. So it's all about stacking those wins. And the fact that you reached out to talk to me is already the biggest step. So you're already winning, in my opinion.
The immediate success that I gain from my clients is a level of self-confidence that the client leaves my house with, just really allowing themselves to put time for themselves and become healthy and active, and really just giving themselves more confidence in their everyday life. A common difficulty for people to commit to personal training is often putting the people in their lives in front first. So whether it be their spouse or their children, people often place more importance to them instead of themselves. So I really encourage you to take this time to really put yourself first and to invest in personal training. So the number one thing that I really value is good form. So when I have a client, I'm really nitpicky with assessing the client's form and imbalances, and really hands-on approach with just placing the body in a more optimal position so that they can perform the exercise safely and with less risk of injury.
So do you find for most women walking in, is 6 months a realistic goal? Or would you prefer longer?
When it comes to what time frame, right? My wedding's an arbitrary number, 6 months, right? It really depends on, first of all, where are you at in your health journey? Like, you never exercised in your life before. You need to lose 5 pounds. You need to lose 20 pounds. Well, the goal, the timeline will change based on those factors, right? So the other thing that's important to note is that you want this to be a sustainable and realistic loss. Say, Joe, I gotta lose 10 pounds in 4 weeks. Can we make that happen? Yes, we can make that happen. Do I think it's the healthiest way of going about it? Absolutely not. Is it going to be the sustainable way of going about it? Absolutely not. So I think that it really depends on the client's current status and timeline goal on where they want to achieve that. So it's individualized. I think, like, for one, we're all about building a new habit. Do you think you're going to build a habit in 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks? It's very difficult. It takes weeks on end. So I think, like, a bare minimum, say, like, I say 6 months is a really good generic time frame to say, like, I want to really make this a habit, not only for the wedding, but then carrying on lifelong. You know what I mean? So I think 6 months is a great starting point to focus on, prioritizing yourself, scheduling yourself for the exercises. You're putting time for yourself to focus on your health. Like I said, there's a lot, life's busy. We have work, jobs, tasks. Very, seldomly we put time for ourselves. So it's good that you're going to say, I'm going to prioritize myself, schedule myself 2 to 3 times a week for the next 6 months. And you're going to really notice the difference in how you feel and your appearance as well.
The basic reason for this podcast in general was to help the upcoming brides, to help upcoming grooms kind of plan their way through the process of getting married, and also kind of removing a lot of the surprises along the way. And then at the same time, kind of educating people as to these little gems that we found along the way over the years that people don't know about. And I feel like COVID brought up a lot of gems, you being one of them. You don't often hear this type of setup where, you can train through Zoom one-on-one, and you can get the one-on-one personal training where they actually get them there. You can get the nutrition factors. So you can get, like you said, you've got a whole gym just in your place. And so a lot of the times people don't have the room for a gym or have the money to add on for the membership, but like being a kettlebell specialist and doing all these things where you're adapting the situation to avoid the biggest fear I find of working out, which is going to a public gym where people are going to see you when you've never done that, right? So I love this concept, and this is one of the main reasons I wanted you on the podcast, to really highlight this new thing that's come through COVID, this new gem, and specifically towards people that are at that stage in their life where they want that change, right?
I'm going to say this. I've been doing this for 10 years now. Okay, this is my 10-year anniversary. What I've seen the most is the fear of being so vulnerable to have a personal trainer. I've seen this through these 10 years. It's that that nervousness to say, like, I'm going to trust someone with my body. Far too many times people are too much pride, and they want, and typically men are too much pride, and they think they can do it themselves. Okay. When it comes to exercise, I've seen this 99.9% of the time. Say like, I know how to do a squat. I know how to lunge. And then I put them through a workout. They're like, bro, I've never done it like this before. I say, listen, it's not the movement, it's how you're doing the movement. So it's like, I changed people's whole idea of exercise based on how they're doing the exercise, not what the exercise is, but how they're doing it. So what I'm trying to say is that it's like, yes, I have the service that's virtual because listen, I have clients in Ottawa, Toronto, Vancouver, all over the place. And that's great because I can serve a larger network of people with Zoom or FaceTime. And it's allowing me to keep the client accountable. So it's like when you have an appointment scheduled, the accountability factor is there. So it's like, you know, I'm keeping you on track with your goals by having those scheduled appointments, regardless of where you are. And like, regardless of the equipment that you have, not everyone has a big gym in their home. Some people have a yoga mat and 8-pound dumbbells. That's completely fine. I'm going to customize the program for what you have in your space and what you have available. That's not an issue. I'm going to keep you accountable because accountability and consistency is what's going to be the biggest factor for changing your progress and your goals. If you choose to come in person now from my home in Hanmer here, now it's a whole nother ball game because now I got you in person and I can really see how you're moving for the particular exercise, whether it be a squat, lunge, whatever it may be, and really have you understand, whoa, like my body, okay, now I'm understanding what my joints are doing in space, whereas like before I had no idea it was moving that way. Or I'll record them performing the movement and see like, I want you to hinge from the hips. I want you to hinge from the hips. Not getting it. I'm going to record you and I'll say like, see how you're moving this way? Oh my God, I didn't realize I was moving that way, right? So I use technology at my advantage as well. So if I record someone in with them and I show them, now we can correct it together and understand, okay, I want your hips moving this way or that way. So there's the use of technology to have a service virtually that I can serve people all over the world, and also in person where I can really have a hands-on approach. Because like I also mentioned, I also have fascial stretch therapy, which is a hands-on assisted stretching service. So it's hard for me to do that one virtually, but in person just allows me to give you more of my expertise in the courses that I've obtained in the past 10 years.
Do you find for couples, just say wanting to look their best, but we all know how weddings are very stressful. So now stress, that might impact their results. Do you find?
Life's busy and we all have things on our plate. And now we're putting the biggest thing on our plate, which is this wedding, women and men. So what I'm trying to say is like when clients come to see me, it's for a workout, but it goes a lot deeper than that. Because like I said, people are the most vulnerable with their hairdressers and their personal trainers. They tell their personal trainers things. So I really value that aspect of my job. And it's like, listen, life's not perfect. I'm not saying like you want to be this influencer on YouTube where it's like you have the perfect schedule. You can work out 5 times a day, eat this and that. That's not everyone's life. I'm sorry. Like I was burping my kid this morning and he's spitting all over me. So it's like, there's not always a perfect situation. You got to roll with the punches. And my goal is to say, I'm going to meet you where you're at. And I understand that these are your stresses, but we're going to still make health a priority. And we're going to fit it in. We're going to schedule it in. And I'm there. I'm going to shoot you a text. And it's like, hey, how was your dinner? You know, did you make this good food choice that I recommended? You know, keep track with text message, email. And it's like another, like I mentioned, technology. Some people, it's like they don't like tracking calories, right? So it's like, what's an easier way? I just want you to take a picture of your meal and send it to me. I don't care. I don't have to write anything. So it's like, this is what I had for dinner. Snap, send.
And do you provide them a list of foods to eat, not eat?
Yeah. So, and again, we do this together. I'm not going to say I want you to eat kale every day and you don't like kale, you're not going to eat it, right? So I want to have a discussion and say, listen, what are we willing to do here? Can we just, as an example, can we just, for our breakfast, can we just prioritize having protein for your breakfast, making sure we have that every day? Not only protein, but just making sure that protein is something on your plate every day. Can you agree to that? Yeah? Sweet. Stack. Next time, now we're going to have protein and we're going to have some fruit. We're going to have berries and blueberries. Stack. We stack. And it's like, I don't want to make it an impossible plan. It's a discussion. So we have that discussion. What are you willing to agree on? We do it together. I'm not going to say, I want you to eat steak every morning if you don't like steak. Say like, but do you like eggs? Yeah, sweet. Let's have 2 eggs. And we stack, and we stack, and we stack. So it's really about meeting the client where they're at and having this. I'm not a teller. I'm not telling you what to do. We're going to make this plan together.
So if I were to hire you, you know, how do we start? How do we go about the process? When is this over? Is it over whenever I get married? Or like,
A lot of my clients reach me on my social media platforms, whether it be Facebook or Instagram, reach out. Hey, Joe, I have a special offer right now, 5 sessions for $150 for new clients. So someone will message me on, let's say, Instagram or Facebook and say, hey, Joe, I'm interested in your service. The first thing we do is I get you on a call, 30-minute call. This is where I get to talk to you in person. Hey, I'm Joey. I let them know my experience, and we just have a conversation on where they're at, what they're looking to achieve, and what's their time frame. So that's what I'm kind of looking to get. Once I get that information, I again send an initial triage questionnaire to them, a questionnaire, a couple pages, and it's to just give me a more clear idea of what their needs, goals, and time frame is for what they're trying to achieve. Once I get that feedback, we schedule their first appointment. Okay. On that first appointment, I do about a 5 to 10 minute assessment of their body movements, muscle testing, where I see like, okay, as I move your leg this way, your hip appears to be really unstable. Noted. As I extend your arm, I can really tell you have your shoulders are unstable. Check. So I get an idea of how their joints are moving in space, because if you're not assessing, you're guessing. That's my motto. So if I do the assessment to verify what muscles or what joints are either weak or unstable, it takes about 10 minutes. Then we go through the primal movement patterns: squatting, lunging, hinging, pressing movements, pulling movements, and carry. Those are the 6 primal movements. So I bring them through each of those exercises. And like I mentioned, using the use of video, I'll video the movement, and then we'll watch the video together to see, okay, this is where we can improve. And now we do the exercises together. Once I have that client after their first session, I know exactly what the client is looking for and where their opportunities lie. Then assuming they purchase the 5 sessions, the other 4 sessions are going to be to create a plan specific for their needs and goals. So I've seen their muscle testing, weak hips, weak shoulders. I've seen their primal movement pattern: squat, hinge, deadlift. They have unstable knees during their squat, as an example. So I'm going to program the remaining 4 sessions specific for what I discovered in their first assessment. 9 times out of 10, someone who's new, never exercised before, that's like I blow their mind, right? Because it's like, whoa, like I've done squats, I've done lunges, but I haven't felt it like I am now. It's like I've been doing it all wrong my whole life. It's like, what the heck? What am I doing? So after those 5 sessions, 9 times out of 10, the client's, okay, like I've been doing this wrong. I got to continue. And then we devise a plan, a long-term plan, like I mentioned, like a 6-month plan, where it's like, hey, I've scratched the surface. We set the foundation with these 5 sessions as a 5-session foundation. And now let's turn it up.
How long are each session?
1 hour. So my in-person personal training at my home are 1-hour sessions. This allows me to, spend 5-10 minutes on a warm-up, customized workout for 40-45 minutes, cool down. So it's a full kit, 1-hour session. My virtual training, FaceTime, Zoom, are 30-minute sessions. Okay, so because those are what workouts from clients from their home. 9 times out of 10, they don't have squat racks and dumbbells like I have. It's basic equipment. So I bring it to a little bit of more of a circuit style training from their homes with the equipment that they have. So 30 minutes virtual, 60 minutes in person at my home.
So once I have the client here, we first focus on a movement assessment. This really allows me to dictate if there's any weaknesses in the client's posture or mobility. And then we also then focus on movements that will help correct some of those movement imbalances and really devise a plan that's specific for their needs and goals. After the movement screen has been completed, during our first session, we'll then go into your primal movements of your squat, hinge, lunge, push, pull, and core. This will allow me to periodize your program to allow a stable blueprint and then build strength from that platform. So whether you're a beginner first learning how to exercise or an expert athlete, these methods will really help you, allow you to reach your goals.
I'd love to know what it would look like if I were to hire you right now. I'm not comfortable in my body. That's just the way I am. I don't think there's very many people in this world that are comfortable in their own bodies, even if they look good, right? So I guess my question to you is, could you give me like a couple steps to get started at least? If I've got zero experience, where would I commence that, that pathway to getting, in better shape?
I have clients and they're super vulnerable and they tell me things, right? Everybody looks at themselves through the smallest lens, right? They're your hardest critic.
Our worst critic.
You're your worst critic. And it's difficult because now it's like 9 times out of 10, they're coming towards me because there's something that they're not totally happy with, right? Legs, energy, not sleeping right, so on and so forth, right? And they're coming to like, I need help with something. So it's like, I really, really appreciate when people come to me and they're telling me, and it's usually like we build a relationship where it's at first it's like, hey, I don't know this guy, Joe, personal trainer, what's he like? Is he a bro? Is he, what is it? But then you get to know me and it's like, now I got people, like I said, like I'm like a social worker. It's like people are trying to tell me things because they trust me. And that's just the vibe that I typically give for my clients, is that trust. And like we're just having a conversation. I'm a person, you're a person. Let's just figure this out together. I think that is, say, first, like I mentioned before, you walked in my door, you'd message me, you already took the biggest step. You're already winning. Next step, you say, like you said, Chris, no experience. I just want to get started. What's something I can do that requires zero skill? Put your shoes on, walk out the door and go for a walk. Zero skill required. If
so
you
that
can
10,000 steps a day, there's that important
arbitrary number. I think if you're getting 1,000, well, guess what? Let's make it 2,000. You're getting stack. You get 2,000. Guess what? Next week we're doing 3,000 stack. Work up to that arbitrary 10,000. My point is like walking, zero skill required. What does it take? It takes for you to say, okay, I'm gonna again schedule it. Say like, okay, like for myself, I love going for walks when my kids go to bed. So like 8 o'clock, done the baths, and I'm like, okay, I talk to my wife. Okay, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk. No skill required. And it's a therapeutic way for you to get out of the house, get some fresh air. And whether you like to listen to music or you just want to just quietness, I'm cool with just no sound. You know what I mean? Just want to hear birds chirping. What I'm saying is like, not only is it good for your physical health, good for your mental health as well. Get out of the house, go for a walk. That's, no pun intended, step one.
And what's more important, diet or exercise, or both in your opinions?
I think both complement one another. I also find when someone starts to exercise, you come for a workout with me, you have zero urge to go grab a potato chip after. You're like, I worked too damn hard for this. I ain't gonna, or you're gonna be less likely to go for that undesirable food, ice cream, chips, whatever it may be. So the exercise typically starts to affect the nutrition in a positive way. The more you exercise, the more likely you are to eat more strategic foods, for your next. Obviously, like we're building muscle, okay? We're burning fat. Now we want to repair that muscle. What does it require? We eat food, right? And sleep. So the initial question was stress, right? What do we do about stress? Stress comes from usually, poor sleep. So it's like, if, and sometimes it's out of our equation. Like I got a 3-month-old baby, he's dictating our sleep right now. Okay. So is it optimal? No, but that's life. I'm sorry. Life's not going to always be easy. That's a fact. You're going to pay taxes and your life's going to be hard. That's just the reality, but do what you can. I'm a big fan. We have an alarm to wake up. Oh, I got a podcast today. I got to set my alarm at 6 o'clock. Well, guess what? You should be setting an alarm to go to bed as well. What's my bedtime alarm? So it's like, technology is really good. I get alarms 30 minutes before bedtime. Now it's like, hey, time to shut down electronics, turn off the TV, have a conversation with your spouse at, 30 minutes before bed instead of, passing out on the couch watching the Leafs game 7. You know what I mean?
I love this idea of stacking. I feel like I might even steal this idea. If there's anything that's stuck with me throughout this podcast, is this idea of stacking, these small wins that you just keep accumulating. It really relates, I find, to what the whole podcast is about as well. You must see this a lot more than I do too, like with just couples in general, but probably women more often that are inquiring, just with so much stress from the hop, right? Where we could start just giving these small wins and kind of building it that way for her. I really like that approach, at least.
I'm a personal trainer, but I'm also like a social worker. Whereas like a lot of clients, men and women, and they tell me, how they really feel about themselves, the challenges, and it's my job to really say, listen, life's not perfect.
So that 10,000 steps a day, there's that important?
Arbitrary number. I think if you're getting 1,000, well, guess what? Let's make it 2,000. Stack. You get 2,000, guess what? Next week we're doing 3,000.